played a decent amount of Atlus titles: Persona, SMT, Strange Journey, yeah, part of SMT, and Metaphor ReFantazio. But one of the few Digital Devil Summoner Atlus flagships that has eluded me was Raidou Kuzunoha, one of Atlus's takes on action games back on the PlayStation 2. My first ever encounter with Raidou was in SMT3 Nocturne, so it's exciting to get some context to this detective. But before we get into it, 3 things. 1, we got the hat to fit. 2, be sure to subscribe to the channel as I'm trying to get to 60k subs before the year ends. And 3, thank you Atlus for providing me with the code. So full disclosure, as I'm writing this, I'm about 3/4 the way done. Raidou moves in episodes, and I'm on episode 9 out of 12. Now, we follow a young lad who earns the title of Raidou Kuzunoha. The Kuzunoha clan is a group who has fought demons for 1300 years. You pass the trial and become a devil summoner, capturing demons to fight demons before being shipped off to the capital, where you work for Narumi of the Narumi Detective Agency, an agency that takes on special cases having to do with spirits and demons and whatnot. Your first task? Meeting a young girl who asks you to kill her before being swept away by men in red. And that is what kicks off a giant conspiracy that may shake Japan's capital to its very core. While uncovering the mystery of the Soulless Army, we're met with countless characters. Narumi, who's a lead detective, but of course sends Raidou to do all the heavy lifting. Goto, your trusty cat companion. Tei Asakura, a nosy reporter always after the latest scoop, just to name a few goofy characters who keep things lively. While they do serve the story, they're otherwise pretty forgettable. But the most fascinating part of Raidou Kuzunoha and the Soulless Army is the unique setting, the Taisho era, a short period in Japan from 1912 to 1926, although the game takes place in the fictional Taisho year of 1931. The Taisho era is known for Japan slowly becoming more westernized, and the game heavily leans into that. A lot of demon happenings result in folks struggling with the times, for example rickshaw runners being replaced by automobiles, foreign traders being prioritized over local ones, or more subtle touches like seeing some NPCs sport a more westernized look versus traditional Japanese clothing. I think a lot of games fancy the Edo period, where samurai were a primary focus, and hey, I like that era as much as the next guy, but with the world having such a vast history, it's a shame to focus on only the more popular periods of time. As I mentioned in previous videos, my gateway to gaming was through education, learning about new topics, and this game definitely led me down a rabbit hole into Japanese history.
Well, let's just say it's growing fast. These days, it's all about being modern. Cash and science are king.
While not Atlus's first action game that's reserved for Maken X, it is Shin Megami Tensei's first take on action games, and it received mixed reviews. They completely overhauled the combat based on the battle system from the second game of the series and refined it even further. And just a quick glance, oh my goodness, you can see it. Imagine my shock when I saw originally you only had one demon companion. They did away with random encounters as enemies appear on the map, and you can initiate combat by hitting them with your demon. And if that demon you attack with has their weakness, they automatically start stunned. Combat has your standard heavy and light sword attacks and gun attacks, which prevent quicker enemies from teleporting around the field. Heavy hitting attacks hit hard, but light attacks refill your mag gauge, aka magic. You have summoner skills which consume mag, and your demons are always casting, and you can toggle their skills on and off. It's important to know you all share the same mag pool. Basic demon attacks also replenish mag, so you'll want to balance how much mag you're consuming. You can also switch your demons through a menu as well as change your summoner skills, as some enemies are weak to a skill you may not have equipped. Summoner skills have a cooldown, so use them wisely. Demon loyalty grants passive buffs during battle. The more loyal demons you have, the more likely you'll get buffs. Loyalty is gained by using them in battle. You can also guard, and I never did, or dodge. Dodging is great, especially if you perform a Devil's Feint, which will put you directly behind the enemy. If you dodge at the perfect time, you'll have the option for Devil's Bane, a powerful attack that inflicts a large amount of damage to your enemies and steals mag from them. You also can perform a Devil's Bane once you've knocked your foe off balance with Continued Assault. And finally, Spirit Slash, a powerful technique that hits all enemies, and its affinity will become the affinity that will do the most total damage. Enemies that resist that affinity will be hit with damage that ignores that resistance. You build up your spirit through commanding demons, landing a Devil's Bane or summoner skills, striking an enemy's weakness or breaking their weakness shield, having demon allies strike a stunned enemy, landing consecutive hits on enemies, and defeating an enemy. To sum it up, attack like crazy. A key part in any SMT game are weaknesses. Attacking an enemy weakness leaves them stunned. Same for your demons. Attacks on stunned enemies will always be critical hits, resulting in twice the amount of mag recovered and 1.5 times the amount of damage dealt as usual. Capitalizing on enemy weaknesses is the key to successful combat. That and confining demons. They did away with the traditional demon negotiation and instead tap a button to secure a demon. Sometimes they'll ask you a question. If you answer favorably, they grant a boon, or one of their stats will raise when joining you. You're even able to have multiple of the same demon, perfect for going to the Gomaden to fuse demons to make a more powerful one. Newly created demons can inherit skills of the fusion fodder. And by the way, Raidou Remastered added new demons, over 120 demons versus the original game's 70-ish. The Gomaden is also good for upgrading your sword and learning summoner skills. Now, even with these enhancements, boss battles feel strangely tedious. Unlike normal enemies, they have weakness shields, meaning they cannot be stunned. You'll need to continuously attack until the shield is broken. This can be accomplished significantly faster by using attacks of the affinity the enemy is weak to. In addition, they have heavy-hitting AoE attacks, where you'd want to safeguard your demons, which pulls them to your side and makes them invincible, but they can't do any actions. You want this because you cannot manually move your demons in combat. Bosses also have moves you'll want to jump over, which just feels corny. Like you're playing a game of intense jump rope where if you get hit, you'll lose a chunk of health. The only boss fights I really struggled with were the ones that dish status effects. Overall, combat feels good, albeit button mashy. Because there's a lot going on screen, I did find it difficult to perfect my dodges and rack up a lot of spirit. I am a fan of Atlus's take on action games while keeping the core SMT features intact, but I think they knew their take on action was alright, because I never felt like I was battling an unhealthy amount. Most action games' action is rightfully so at the center, at its core. Raidou seems a little more balanced. That said, combat is well thought out for those seeking to master it, but if you're a casual action gamer who simply enjoys SMT, you can absolutely get a handle on it and come out triumphant.
Here goes.
Okay, so outside of combat, how does Raidou play? Well, you are a detective and you go around asking questions or trying to find your way around things. Also, it took me a while to get used to the sharp change in perspective. It definitely messed with my sense of direction. It's especially important to know that after every story beat, some NPCs have new dialogue that comment on recent events of the capital, or expand on their own mini-journeys. You're able to get some extra information with the help of demons and their investigative skills. Demons can mind read, fly over obstacles, ignite souls, and go on solo investigations. Control the demons who are invisible to the public and explore areas you otherwise wouldn't be able to. This is how you address most case files or side quests. It's usually a question of, do you have the right demon to solve this person's problem? Sometimes it's a little more involved, like a battle or a puzzle, and I've certainly been stumped a few times. But can I just say, I love that you have demons following you about like Ash and Pikachu. You know, nothing to see here, just a detective and his cow. In the real world, sometimes you'll find arrow rifts, pockets of the dark world. These are awesome, providing beneficial opportunities such as gaining experience and demonic allies. Purging these can net you up to 4 times the experience and 8 times the money. Also, they reappear at the turn of a full moon. Additionally, you get rewards based on the number of unique arrow rifts that you've purged. After investigating, you'll end up needing to go to the dark world to solve the issue there, and the episodes conclude with a boss fight. Episodes are pretty straightforward and short, always taking Raidou to a new part of the capital. There are what I'm gonna call PS2 moments that slow down the game, mainly unnecessary animations and dialogue when using an investigative skill. When you've seen it the first time, you've kind of gotten it. Picking up items is slow, or moving as a demon, there's no way to run and you move at a snail's pace. And sadly, there's no way to correct this. These are just little things I wish the remaster cleaned up. But some things the remaster did right was being able to save anywhere, updates to the UI and game menus, 5 difficulty level options, and of course, the graphics. Definitely enhanced, sharper, the pre-rendered cutscenes look clean as hell, but what I really want to draw your attention to is how freaking animatronic these characters look when speaking. I think they look worse than the original. Like, the original looks freaky, but not like a robot. In the remaster, they straight up look like ventriloquist puppets with their mouth movements. It's uncanny as hell, and I'm not a fan. I know Kaneko's art style has always had this chilling touch to it, and we love that. But translated into graphics, they managed to make Kaneko's visions even creepier. But aside from that, it looks good. I love the new demons they added and how they fit right into Raidou's style. The UI is so much nicer, and the combat is vibrant. Finally, the music and something they added in the remaster, voice acting. The voice acting is great, voices match their characters, and kudos to these demon voices. They sound creepy and unhinged, which adds to the SMT charm.
how my spirit stirs at the thought.
Raidou Kuzunoha, The Mystery of the Soulless Army, has a pretty small soundtrack and it's decent. I don't have anything particularly negative to say, nor did anything scream out at me. Some passing upbeat jazzy melodies. Some of the music felt like scrapped SMT Nocturne battle themes. That said, my favorite isn't actually the jazzy tunes, and is one of the first soundtracks you hear. It's on the title screen. Hearing the creepy taiko drums thunder, setting the tone for something dark and ominous. And as it should, as this track is called, The Soulless Army. If you ever wondered Atlus's take on SMT action games, this is it. Raidou Kuzunoha Remastered, The Mystery of the Soulless Army. My thoughts are, it's a good game. It's not a great game, and it's certainly not bad. I enjoyed my time with it. I love the period of time this is set in, and the combat ain't too shabby either. It's definitely a product of its time, refined. And I would gleefully play the next Raidou entry should they remake it. And should Atlus be cooking up a new Raidou, I hope they could match up with today's action games. You know, I'm talking about the Nier Automatas, the Tales of, the Aces, the Bayonettas. Because Atlus really does have something with this formula, but until then, I'll stick with my Personas and SMTs. And if you're the same, be sure to check out my videos on my favorite Persona. Right now, I think it's Persona 4. It goes back and forth between 3 and 4. And my favorite SMT, SMT4. And hey, if you want a different Persona, I've reviewed all the Personas Atlus cares to remember. Persona 3, 4, and 5. Click the boxes to check it out. Be sure to join the Patreon, get early access to videos, join the Discord, get your name in my videos. We'd love to have you. But until next time, mwah!